Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thoughts and Opinions. It's a new thing I'm trying on this channel, and I'm sure nobody will watch it, but I'm going to try it. And the idea is basically I watch a ridiculous amount of film and TV and shows because I have no life. And I thought, what if I turned this addiction into something productive and basically every time I finish a show, I do like a quick snappy video where I just go over what I liked, what I didn't like, give it a rating. And that way I can feel good about myself for spending hours by myself watching something instead of being depressed about it. So hopefully we're going to convert my addiction into something good. We'll see about that. So this is my new thing, thoughts and opinions. I'm going to give you my thoughts and my opinions on whatever show or movie or whatever I just finished consuming. So for today's episode, Vampire in the Garden is what we're going to talk about. There will be spoilers for Vampire in the Garden if you've not watched it. I don't know. You could watch it if you want. I don't know. Maybe. So overall, my thoughts, the biggest issue I had with it was pacing, because overall the pacing was really, really inconsistent. The first episode and the last episode were very fast. They felt very rushed. A lot happened, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think for the amount of stuff that happened in the other 3 episodes in between the first and the fifth, it felt like that pace, maybe they should have bumped the episodes out a little bit, like maybe done 6 or 7 and sort of carried some of the stuff from the last and first episode out longer, because there were certain elements narratively that were very rushed. My other big criticism is I felt like the characters were very, very two-dimensional. There was not a lot of character development, like at all. There is some development. There was sort of a weird choice. The characters did not get flushed out very much. Like, even the 2 main characters did not receive that much attention. They sort of always felt 2D for the entire film, and they made the entire show, and they made a really weird choice to not really go into one of the main characters' backstory until the last episode. And so the final climax of the show didn't hit for me because they didn't really dive into these characters until the end, right before the climax. And so it didn't, I mean, if you have 5 episodes and you don't do really any character building until the last episode, it's like, it doesn't hit. One thing, and I don't know if I liked this or disliked it, tonally this was fucking weird, dude, because so there would be like a scene of some of our characters, like the 2 main characters, having like a fun time, like playing music together, and then the next scene they'd be like fucking shooting kids or some shit. Like the tone in this was crazy. So like in the first episode, and this leads into also the pacing, you have this mother-daughter relationship with the main character and her mom, who's a general, and it seems like the mom's not a great parent. Maybe she's like a little strict, right? That's sort of how you read it. Until halfway through the episode, and there's really no implication that this is a bad mom. She just fucking smacks the shit out of her kid. Like, just 12 minutes into the episode, just about. Bam! Just, oh shit, I hit my mic. Oops. Just right in the face. She just smacks the shit out of her kid. Did not see that coming. It's just like tonal dissonance. Like, the kid is listening to some music, chilling. Her mom walks in and fucking beats her. Like, it was crazy. And I kind of loved it that it was that, like, inconsistent, but I feel like it's kind of jarring because it's a dark show. It's also really violent. Like, for some reason, I think the art style and the characters sort of led me to believe at first that it was going to be sort of chill, and then they were just fucking like showing people gunning kids down, and I was like, okay. So that it's a very violent show. It didn't feel gory. Like, it sort of had your like typical anime where they'll show you a lot of blood, but they won't show you like anything crazy. But yeah, it was really dark, really gritty. But it didn't feel like they wanted to engage with that because the main character has this abusive mom, and they did nothing with that. They didn't really dive into the complexities of that or really explore it at all. They just sort of was like, yep, she's abusive, she's a bad mom, end of discussion. And I felt like most of the ideas in this show were very surface level. Probably the only thing that was really explored was the relationship between vampires and humans and what society would look like if we could, like, can we coexist with vampires? Like, what does that look like? And that was really cool. It was really cool to see, like, the two towns separated by the water that coexist, vampires and humans, seeing the human encampment and how they were trying to fend off vampires, and sort of how the idea that vampires sort of took over aspects of human culture, like music, and that became their culture, and then humanity rejected that. Those are really cool ideas. But in terms of characters, not a lot of the characters are explored, and they really kind of left us dry. Like, for 5 episodes, they did not, like, they just sort of leave little sprinklings and crumbs. The final episode, the final villain, or not the final, the little girl vampire villain, that was so, we literally got one episode with her. No, scratch that. It was 1 or 2. I'll check it in post and put a thing. It was either 1 or 2 episodes with her, and then she just turned into this psychopath. And they had this whole, like, very Terminator sequence in this submarine. Like, it just felt weird. It didn't feel earned. And I guess that's sort of my main critique of the show, is just it didn't really want to do the footwork to make the characters and the plot hit, and so things just sort of happened. And it was fun. I enjoyed watching it. There was some interesting stuff. It did hit pretty well emotionally, but the major scenes didn't really hit. Great animation from Wit Studio. I saw a Wit Studio logo. I was like, huh? Hello? So that was a plus. You know, the action's awesome. Great animation. Really cool style as well. It's a gritty, dark anime, but without the, like, real darkness, because it never really actually explored any of the tones or any of the themes or the ideas it was wrestling with, like an abusive mother, warring societies, tribalism, all these ideas, violence. You know, can 2 different species coexist? Like, can vampires overcome their bloodlust? Can humans overcome their fear and live together? It never really wanted to engage with those on a deeper level, and I feel like that is to its detriment. But with only 5 episodes, what are you gonna do, right? Overall, I enjoyed it. I give it a 6. That's not 6. A 6 out of 10. I would recommend it. I wouldn't go in expecting to have your mind blown. It's just sort of a fun watch if you like dark, depressing things. But it was happy in the end, sort of, kind of. I don't know. I liked it. Not my favorite. Probably wouldn't watch it again. But yeah, that is Vampire in the Garden. I do not regret watching it. I did enjoy it. So, okay, guys, I'm actually back because there was one other thing I want to talk about, and I didn't because I thought maybe it was just me and I was being weird. But I did a little bit of searching. So, there is something really weird in the show, which is that the 2 main characters, one of them is a vampire queen who's, we don't know how old she is, but she's an adult. And then there's her friend, which is a human girl, and we don't know how old she is, but it's implied that she's a child because she still lives with her mom, and she sounds like a kid, and she sort of acts like a kid. We don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure she's a kid. And there's this really weird, like, tension, like I don't want to say sexual tension, but sort of like a romance or something, because basically the adult female vampire, um, she had a romantic partner who was her age, who looks exactly like this little girl, and her partner died, right? And so the whole start of this is that she sees this girl who looks like her ex, or not her ex, who looks like her dead partner, and who sounds like her dead partner, and she's like, "Oh, that looks like my partner." So she kidnaps her basically, with consent, of course, with consent. So she transports her to her castle, and then the relationship goes from there. But there's like weird scenes where they're like physically intimate in a way that is suggestive, and this is who knows how old this vampire is, and then this kid, and it's weird, and they don't like do anything explicit, but it just sort of feels weird. Yeah, I don't know if I'm reading into it too much, because you could argue that there's nothing going on, but just sort of the way they interact it can be a little sus at times. There's especially one scene where she's like, the vampire's on top of this girl, like, at the very least, it's weird. I don't know. So that was also in there, and thankfully this show has a problem with exploring the themes that they set up. So they never really explore it. They never define the relationship. They never, what does that mean? They don't really talk about it. So I guess it's up to interpretation, which is probably a good thing, because if it was that there was a romance, I don't think I could recommend it, because that's pretty fucking weird. But yeah, so I did want to talk about that too. I don't know. Some people are saying it's a lesbian romance show, which I hope not. Purely because it would also be a pedophile romance, which is disgusting. So I hope that's not the case. There's also a chance to make that the girl isn't a little girl, but it's sort of implied that she is. And once again, the show does not tell us, because the show doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you anything. So, yeah. If you are very opposed to anything along those lines, then cannot recommend it to you, because it was kind of weird. It was weird, and yeah, I want to talk about that too. So that's my footnote. Okay, that's it. That was T&O with your host. God, that's cringy. Let's not say that again. That was now I just feel weird about this. That was okay.